Section 20 of Reviews by Oscar Wilde. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Philippa Willits. Reviews by Oscar Wilde, edited by Robert Ross. Section 20. A Literary Pilgrim. Antiquarian books, as a rule, are extremely dull reading. They give us facts without form, science without style, and learning without life. An exception, however, must be made for M. Gaston Boissier's Promenade Archéologique. M. Boissier is a most pleasant and picturesque writer, and is really able to give his readers useful information without ever boring them, an accomplishment which is entirely unknown in Germany, and in England is extremely rare. The first essay in his book is on the probable site of Horace's country house, a subject that has interested many scholars from the Renaissance down to our own day. M. Boissier, following the investigations of Signor Rosa, places it on a little hill overlooking the Licenza, and his theory has a great deal to recommend it. The plough still turns up on the spot the bricks and tiles of an old Roman villa, a spring of clear water, like that of which the poet so often sang, breaks babbling from the hollow rock, and is still called by the peasants Fonte dell'Oratini, some faint echo possibly of the singer's name. The view from the hill is just what is described in the epistles. Continui montes nisi dissocientur opacia valle. Hard by is the site of the ruined temple of Vacuna, where Horace tells us he wrote one of his poems, and the local rustics still go to Varia, Vicovaro, on market days, as they used to do when the graceful Roman lyrist sauntered through his vines and played at being a country gentleman. M. Boissier, however, is not content merely with identifying the poet's house. He also warmly defends him from the charge that has been brought against him of servility in accepting it. He points out that it was only after the invention of printing that literature became a money-making profession, and that, as there was no copyright law at Rome to prevent books being pirated, patrons had to take the place that publishers hold, or should hold, nowadays. The Roman patron, in fact, kept the Roman poet alive, and we fancy that many of our modern bards rather regret the old system. Better, surely, the humiliation of the sportula than the indignity of a bill for printing. Better to accept a country house as a gift than to be in debt to one's landlady. On the whole, the patron was an excellent institution, if not for poetry, at least for the poets. And though he had to be propitiated by panegyrics, still are we not told by our most shining lights that the subject is of no importance in a work of art. M. Boissier need not apologize for Horace. Every poet longs for a Maecenas. An essay on the Etruscan tombs at Corneto follows, and the remainder of the volume is taken up by a most fascinating article called Le Pays de l'Enéide. M. Boissier claims for Virgil's description of scenery an absolute fidelity of detail. Les poètes anciens, he says, ont le goût de la précision de la fidélité. Ils n'imaginent guère de paysages en l'air. And with this view he visited every place in Italy and Sicily that Virgil has mentioned. Sometimes, it is true, modern civilization, or modern barbarism, has completely altered the aspect of the scene. The desolate shore of Drepanum, for instance, is now covered with thriving manufactories and stucco villas, and the bird-haunted forest, through which the Tiber flowed into the sea, has long ago disappeared. Still, on the whole, the general character of the Italian landscape is unchanged, and M. Boissier's researches show very clearly how personal and how vivid were Virgil's impressions of nature. The subject is, of course, an interesting one, and those who love to make pilgrimages without stirring from home cannot do better than spend 3 shillings on the French academician's Promenade archéologique. Nouvelle Promenade archéologique, Horace et Virgile, by Gaston Boissier, Hachette. End of section 20. A Literary Pilgrim. Recording by Philippa Willits.